Alright, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back. In this video, we're looking at the Tuesday 5-game NBA slate for tonight, starting at 7:30. So let's get started. We'll go game by game as usual. As always, appreciate if you guys hit the like button down below, subscribe if you haven't already. Hopefully, you guys had success yesterday. Needed the Kings and Warriors game to kind of go off, and the Warriors ended up blowing them out, so it wasn't as fun as it could have been. Warriors did their thing, needed the Kings to kind of step up. They were in a great spot, but they just couldn't compete with the Warriors last night, so see what today brings. Looking forward to this 5-game slate. We have a couple of popular options, but I think that some of them are just tough to get away from. We'll start here in the first game. Where definitely have some popular options here. Kevin Durant is out for like 7 days, so you're going to see Kyrie Irving just take on the entire offense. He's 9,300. He's been playing great this season, shooting a ton. On the season, he's shooting just 48% from the floor, almost 40% from three, 39%. He's been great. Hasn't missed a free throw. He's super aggressive, not only in scoring, but getting rebounds, assists wise. That's just going to increase without Durant. His usage is just going to increase as well. So, on a 5-game slate, I think he's an extremely tough fade. Definitely going to go ahead and plug him in there. You have Karis LeVert, 66. Not sure if he'll start or come off the bench. They kind of have liked to have him off the bench. I mean, they've even been starting like Luau Cabarro in place of Dinwiddie, so it seems like they like LeVert in a 6-man role right now, unless like both Kyrie Irving and Durant are out. So we'll see. They probably will plug in like Prince in the starting lineup or maybe Green. But if LeVert starts, I think he's a little bit more interesting off the bench. He's still playable at 66, but there's just going to be more minutes if he's starting because of the rotations. So keep an eye on LeVert. If he starts, I think he's a great play. Then you have Joe Harris, who's been playing big minutes. Played 27, 28, 31, 42 recently. He's been shooting pretty well, as always. Great three-point shooter on the season. He's shooting over 50% from three, 50% from the floor. He's 5,600, so you're going to need him to shoot well to kind of hit value because he's not going to get you a ton of assists. He can get you some rebounds, but I think I would probably prefer to go with like the 3K value on the Nets than go with 56 for Harris. You have $3,300 for Prince. You can play him at small forward or power forward, so I think he's valuable there. Probably will see in the mid-20s minutes at least. We'll get a nice bump in minutes, and in production-wise, I think that will just happen as well. He's not been shooting the ball great to start the season, under 36% from the floor, but no, we know what he's been doing in the past. When he was with the Hawks, he was a decent fantasy player, and now that he has an opportunity to play, at least for the next like few games without Durant, I think he's gonna make the most of it, and I think he's a really strong piece to get in your lineups at 33. You also have TLC, who you could play. He's already been seeing decent minutes without a Dinwiddie. Mid-20s for him. Played that big game, 40 minutes without both Irving and Durant, and he went off in that one. He's a streaky shooter. That's what you're going to get. You're going to need it. You're going to have to hope that he shoots like he did against Washington. At 37, not the worst play without Durant. I think he's definitely playable, but he's not going to get you a ton of peripherals. So I think I'd rather go with Prince, $400 cheaper. And then power forward wise, I don't really see myself going with anybody on the Nets here. I like Prince more than Green, and I like definitely not touching anybody else on the Nets power forward position. And then center-wise, you have Gobert who could play. And then you have Jared Allen's been coming off the bench, but he's been playing more minutes than DeAndre Jordan. I just don't like to play guys in timeshare at center. So I'll probably not have too much interest in either one. And then Favor's been playing well. He has a Q tag. I don't see any sort of news, but he's been worth a shot, $3,800 in a 5-game slate. Not the worst play. So definitely have a lot more interest in the Brooklyn side here. The Utah side is pretty nicely pretty appropriately priced, like 69 for Conley. I don't see that much value on that price tag. 74 for Mitchell. He's just been it's nothing like earth-shattering so far for him. He's been a little bit disappointing in terms of shooting. Definitely could, if you want to stack this game up, you definitely could play both Mitchell and Conley. And then you can probably take a shot on like Ingles at 47. Moving on to the second game, we have the Lakers and the Grizzlies. This is not super appealing for me just because I don't like the Grizzlies going up against the Lakers here. Grizzlies have had to lean on Brooks and Anderson, and Brooks has been fine in some games, but against the Lakers last time out, he only shot 3 of 15. His shooting has been pretty poor to start the season. He can get it done with just because his usage rate is so high without John Moran. He can get it done with some other peripherals, but the coach isn't even playing them a ton of minutes, like 29, 28, 28 in 3 straight games. I know some of them were blowouts, but still, he should have saw like I was expecting like mid 30s, so I would have probably saw him play like low 30s, and I would be okay with it in blowouts. But high 20s, he's definitely not playing as much minutes as I thought he would without John Morant. And same thing kind of goes with Kyle Anderson. The kind of just with all the injuries, you don't want to risk losing anybody else. And he's played 32, 29, 28, so a little bit more, but 63 against the Lakers. I think there's some better plays. So this game, I'm not super interested in either side. On the Lakers side, if I had to pick one, it would be Anthony Davis, who's only $9,500. That price tag is definitely worth taking a shot on a 5-game slate. More often than not, he hasn't been hitting value at all this season, but we saw what he can do against the Spurs. If you get a game like that tonight at $9,500, then you're going to be sitting pretty nice because I don't see him being too popular. Then definitely not having interest in Kyle Kuzma at 55. LeBron is 10-1, so I'd rather go to Davis. And on the Memphis side, I'm not really interested in anybody now that they got DeAnthony Melton back. He's 36. He played 24 minutes. Wasn't great, but probably will see similar minutes tonight and only shot 1 of 6, so you can't do much worse than that. So definitely take a shot on Melton over like Bane or Tyus Jones, and I'm not that interested in targeting Brooks or Anderson tonight. This third game is really looking appealing to target. You have the Timberwolves and the Nuggets facing off in Denver. The Timberwolves have been led by Russell, but he hasn't done a ton this season. He's averaging 17 points per game. Had a decent game last time out, but he's 7,200. You have Malik Beasley, revenge spot for him at 6,300. He back-to-back revenge spots. He played really well against him last time and played 38 minutes. So he's playing well. He's gonna get the rotations and is gonna get the minutes. We know he loves to shoot. He'll shoot, 13, 16 times a game. And I think here he looks like a nice option at 63. He definitely has upside on that price tag. Like last season when he got traded, he was putting up some big games for the Timberwolves, and he still has a lot of opportunity without. Carlton Towns has a high usage rate next to D'Angelo Russell. So I like Beasley a lot on the Minnesota side, and then on the Denver side, it's still Jokic, and Jokic has been on pace for some big games the last 2, but it's been foul trouble. Foul trouble in both games. 5 fouls against the Suns, 5 fouls against the Timberwolves, and he's lost like at least a rotation. He's been playing like mid 30s, high 30s in close games, and probably lost at least like 5 or 6 minutes in both of those contests. But still another triple double for him. He has a triple double in every game except for 2 this season, and both of those he missed by 1 rebound. So he has just been killing it for fantasy and killing it for the Nuggets. No, Michael Porter is just going to help him in terms of getting more rebounds and a little bit more shots because Michael Porter loves to shoot. So I really like Jokic at a center position at 10-8. And then you could look to Russell if you wanted to pay 72 for him. That's fine. Jamal Murray's been killing it the last 2 games because of how well he's been shooting. Over 65% last game, over 50% the game before that. He's been shooting great. Even in the bubble, he was shooting amazing. So 76 price tag has gone up, but worth a shot, I guess. He's not like a core piece. I'd rather go to Jokic, but I think if he continues to shoot the ball as he has, it's not going to take a lot for him to hit value. And then you saw Hernan Gomez start last time out for the Timberwolves. If that happens again, I think he's playable. Another revenge spot for him. He's $3,400, shot 10 times, played 25 minutes. Wasn't great, but he's like a streaky player. All these value guys off the bench are not going to hit value every game, but if they get 20 plus minutes, like 25 minutes for Hernan Gomez most nights, I think he can probably expect around like 20 fantasy points, which would be nice at 3,400. Moving on to another game that I'm not super interested in, the Spurs and the Clippers here. Spurs, DeRozan's price tag has gone up to 79. He's been playing really good basketball without Aldridge and kind of having to carry the team right now. And then Keldon Johnson's been super surprising. He's like making a case for most improved player. He's been great for them to start, not only in shooting and scoring, but getting rebounds, getting you defensive stats as well. So 65 for him if Aldridge is out again. He's worth a look. And then on the Clippers side, you have a super cheap price tag for Lou Williams, who's down to 4,300. He's been super streaky. Like if this was last season, everybody would be jumping on Lou Williams. They brought in Luke Kennard, who's kind of taken some of his role away, and they haven't been willing to give him a ton of minutes like they were last season. Like he hasn't topped 26 minutes yet this season. So he's still kind of a flyer, but we saw, or he was like mid 5K price tag to start the season. Now he's down to the low 4K range. Has a good shooting game. He's gonna put up like 20s, low 30s, and he's worth a look at 43. I think that's just a nice cheap price tag that you can take advantage of. And then you have DeJounte Murray at 68. He shot awful, 1 of 13. Managed to put up 21 fantasy points. He's been that was just an outlier game. Before that, he was playing pretty good basketball. It's a tough matchup against the Clippers. Both of the Los Angeles teams have really good defenses, and those were the the most recent time he faced the Lakers, he struggled, and then the time he faced the Jazz also have a good defense, he struggled. But I think he's a little bit of a streaky player because he's not the best shooter, but he can still like shoot a little bit. So you're gonna have to hope that he gets it done with some of the peripheral stats, which he does, because he's a great rebounder for a guard, a great assist guy. So I think at 68, he's still worth a shot. But there's some other point guard plays that I'm a little bit higher on. And then I haven't really been targeting any of these Clippers studs yet this season. Paul George has been playing good the last few. He had a 6 steal game in there against the Jazz, which helped him hit value. But 88 is still like it's fine. Like if he gets another 50-point outing, you're gonna be happy. But I'm still not. I'm not gonna bank on him shooting 7 of 10 from three. So I will pass on that. I think I still go to Kawhi Leonard. If Leonard is 91 and George is 88, I think Leonard has more upside at the price tag. Like he shot 4 of 21. That's not gonna happen again. Shooting a ton of times for them. So against the Spurs, he's definitely worth a look here. And kind of it for this game. There's some pieces you can look to if you want to pay up for like a Kawhi Leonard or a Paul George. And then last game we have the Bulls and the Blazers. Starting off the center situation, Nurkic has been losing a lot of minutes this season because of Enes Kanter. He hasn't played more than like 26 minutes except for that one game against the Rockets. I don't know if that game went to overtime or not, but he hasn't been playing a ton, which is sad because he's a great fantasy producer when he's out there. Like, see how many minutes Kanter's been playing. 24, 11, 25, 22. So he's been taking a good amount of minutes away. But Nurkic 64 on a 5-game slate against the Chicago front court. He's worth a shot. You have Otto Porter at 64. He's been getting a lot more minutes recently because Markkanen has been out. 64 is not it's not like a smash price tag, but he definitely has upside at that price tag like he showed against Washington. If he just gets unbelievably hot, he's a good rebounder. So he should be in your player pool. He's not a core piece though. Thad Young is 45. I'm not that interested at that price tag. I do think you can look to Carmelo Anthony here at 44. It's just a nice cheap price tag for a guy that's playing mid to high 20s in minutes. Derrick Jones Jr. has struggled, and his minutes, he only saw like 13 or so minutes last time out, or 16 and a half minutes, mainly due to foul trouble, but he's also not been like killing it off on the season, shooting 32%, 30% from three. So Carmelo is still going to get good minutes either way at power forward, like in the mid 20s. So I think against the Bulls, he can definitely hit value. You know he's going to shoot a lot, and he can get you rebounds too. So Carmelo at 44 is definitely in play, I think. And then you have McCollum's been killing it for the Blazers. He's been better than Lillard to start the season. 84 is still a price tag that I always have had a hard time getting to with McCollum, but this season it looks like he's playing different, so I don't mind taking a shot, but I'd rather go to Kyrie Irving at 93, who I think has 60-point upside tonight. Zach LaVine had a huge game last time out, so hopefully he can continue that. It's not a difficult matchup against the Blazers. It should be a high-scoring game here if the Bulls can stay in it, and they are a 10-point underdog right now, so they're going to need Zach LaVine to have another similar game if they want to stay in it. But I think 8K is definitely still in play here. And then you have Lillard at 98. I'm not interested at that price tag. He just hasn't been showing enough like high 50s, 60-point upside. He hasn't topped 60 points yet this season. So if I'm paying almost 10K for him, I definitely would like to see that before I sacrifice that much of my salary. And then I do like Kobe White here, 67. He's playing big minutes. Pushed into foul trouble last game, but played well, 37 and almost 38 fantasy points. He has the 40-point game in there, just playing a lot of minutes. Doesn't shoot particularly well, but if he does have an outlier shooting game, then you're going to be having like a 40-point upside at that, like 40, 45. We know he has 50-point upside as well at 67. Still without Satoransky, still without his backup point guard, so his role is just super secure right now. And that's kind of it for this 5-game slate. The last guy I'll go ahead and plug in is Will Barton on the Denver side at 57. Like that price tag on him a lot. He has seen a nice increase in his role without Michael Porter. Played just 22 minutes last game because it turned into a bit of a blowout and he couldn't make a shot either. 3 of 11, 1 of 7 the game before that. So he's been a little bit disappointing shooting wise, but I still take a shot on the talent of Will Barton. He definitely has upside. And without Porter, if he's playing well, he's going to see like 36 minutes like he did against Phoenix. So I think he's worth a look. And that still leaves you with 51 left to fill out the last 2 spots. So do what you want with that, but we'll go ahead and jump over to Fanduel and touch on their salaries. All right, over on Fanduel here at point guard, we have quite a bit of options to choose from at the top. You have Irving, Lillard, Murray as the main guys above 7K. Then right at 7K, you have Conley and the other Murray, DeJounte Murray. I think I still love Kobe White at 62. His FanDuel is making it tough not to like him. He was like $6,100 last game. And just with all the injuries, it's just a lot easier for him to hit value. So he's going to be one of the guys that I really like at point guard. And then you have Lou Williams down at 4K if you wanted to punt with somebody. I'll probably stick with like Lillard or Irving to pick from at the top. Shooting guards here, you have McCollum at almost 9K, then Paul George is 88. So I think I'll go. Both of those guys are fine, but you also have a lot of options here. Position is loaded. You have Zach LaVine 81, Mitchell, Russell, Levert is 61 on FanDuel, so that's be a little bit tough to get away from. Beasley's at a nice price tag, as well at 56. So definitely think it's a spot to pay up a bit at this position. I don't mind taking a shot at Brooks at all at 61. Like I think that you won't have a ton. It's not the easiest spot, but with how often he shoots, even if he has like 5 shots, I think he can get you at least decent value. But I think it's still a little bit scary to fade some of the guys at the top. So I'll probably go with like Zach LaVine. I think 81 to get some of my Bulls exposure here with Kobe White and Zach LaVine with all the shorthandedness of the team. Small forward here, we have Will Barton at 54. I think that looks like a nice price tag. You have Otto Porter at 53. Price tag has come up. He was like 43 last time, but he's definitely still in play. So you can go a little bit cheaper here. You have Joe Harris at just 46. Been playing well. And mainly the top guys that I'm looking at. You have Prince and Anthony if you wanted to go cheap. Probably stay with like Will Barton at 54. Power forwards, we have Davis at 10K if you wanted to pay up. This position is pretty weak, so if you can find any sort of value, it seems like a reasonable option to pay up for Davis here at 10,000. Then we have Bogdanovich at 53. He's been super streaky this season, but with all the lack of options, I think he's worth a shot. Covington at 5K, he's been bad, but still getting a lot of minutes. Still can get it done with his defensive stats. Millsap is just 44. He's worth a look. And then mainly at Thad Young at 41. I don't think he's like a super intriguing. Yeah, definitely not. So I'll probably go ahead and try to get to Davis at the top. If I can't, then I'll go with like Bogdanovich at 53. Centers here, we have Jokic at 10.5. I think he looks like a fine option. You have Gobert at 82. If I'm not paying up for Jokic, I'll probably go all the way down to like maybe Nurkic at 6,000. And then you do have Wendell Carter at only 49. And then you have Serge Ibaka sitting at just 4,500. Like, the minutes on him have been up and down because he splits time with Zubats, but only 45 for a guy that has shown 30-point upside. It's not the easiest spot, but depending on Aldridge if he's in or not, like it's a fine spot against the Spurs front court. I think you can play Ibaka here at 45. And then, like, I still like Jokic, but he's a little bit easier to get to on DraftKings because you have 2 center spots. Well, center and the utility spot. And then you don't get those extra bonuses on Fanduel like you do for on DraftKings with the double and triple bonuses. So it's a little bit tougher to get the Jokic. So I think I'll probably just end up going. I probably go cheap here just so I can get to Anthony Davis at power forward with the lack of options. Just is such a huge gap between Davis and everybody else here. So that's kind of it for FanDuel. Hopefully Ibaka has a good game because right now I'm liking him quite a bit. I think it's tough to justify going crazy at like center because there's not that many power forwards to pay up for besides Davis, and hopefully he has a good game because 10K hasn't been hitting value, but I don't have that much confidence in two of Bogdanovich, Clark, Covington, Reed hitting value. So that's kind of it for the video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Thank you for watching and best of luck.